Welcome back to Let's Talk Harlingen. I'm Mayor Norma Sepulveda.
And I'm Cassandra Concilio.
We're here to keep you updated, informed, and connected to your city.
Let's get into it.
And in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Harlingen. I'm Mayor Norma Sepulveda, and today I'm flying solo because Cassandra is on a much needed, much deserved vacation with her beautiful family. So if you've been following along, you know that today we are doing a commission recap. So we have commission meetings the first and third Wednesday of every month, and you can hop on here and expect to see a recap of that commission meeting on Friday of the weeks of the commission meetings. So if you don't have the time to sit through hours and hours or catch it on YouTube, you can get all the important highlights right here. So let's get into it. This week, we had a very, very busy week. On Monday, it kicked off budget season. And so we had our first budget workshop. And then on Wednesday, of course, we had our commission meeting. So I'm going to be going through the commission meeting and we're going to highlight some of the things that we worked on at the budget workshop a little bit later. So first off, if you were there, you will see that we had so many proclamations. We always start off the commission meetings with proclamations, and this was no different. It was really special. So I got my agenda in front of me. So those of you that are following along and watching, you can get your agenda on the City of Harlingen website. But that's what I'm going to use. And for those that are listening, you can download a copy as well, and you can kind of follow along too. So announcements is always at the top of the hour, and then proclamations. We start off every time with the animal pet of the week, so from the Harlingen Animal Shelter. And so this week, we had the most adorable little kitten. His name is Taka, and it was a 5. He was 5 weeks old. So I'm gonna have Brandon upload the picture here so that you can take a look. He is absolutely adorable at just 5 weeks, super cute and very photogenic. And Taka came to the shelter when he was just 1 week, and luckily there was a mama cat there that just took him in as one of her own, and now he is ready to go at 5 weeks, healthy and ready for a foster family. So Shannon was there, and she let everybody know that they're gonna have half off on adoptions this weekend, so head over there, go adopt Taka or any of his buddies. So we did that. We also had a presentation of certificate of recognition for Morgana Elizabeth Rodriguez Marin. This also super cute. I'm going to have Brandon also go ahead and put the picture here of Morgana. She's just 8 years old and already doing great things. She is a chess queen or chess princess. I'm not sure which one. Chess queen, we're going to say. And Morgana is not only just, doing amazing here in the city of Harlingen, but she has been competitive and competes throughout the state and really throughout the country. Right now, she is number 1 in her age group in the state of Texas, which is huge. And at 8 years old, she is also number 8 in the country in chess. And so that is just absolutely phenomenal. And we were so excited to celebrate with Morgana. Next, we had Ms. Lupita Muniz, who many of you know here in the city of Harlingen because she's done such great work here in our community, really a trailblazer. We were able to honor her yesterday. It was really beautiful. I'm going to have Brandon go ahead and put this picture. You can see so many people came out to support her from throughout the community, friends and family. We had Gerald from the Boys and Girls Club. She had family come from out of town because it was really a moment for her just to be recognized here in the city of Harlingen for all of her achievements. She was a teacher, been recognized by multiple governors, worked with the Boys and Girls Club. She's on the Walk of Fame from the Rotary, and more, I guess, something that is city related. She was on many civic boards and nonprofit boards, but she gave 50 years to our very own CDBG board here in the city of Harlingen, which really does incredible work working with a demographic that is very vulnerable here in our community and also helps out nonprofits. So we were very happy to recognize her. And last but not least, we had the recognition of Temple Beth Israel. It is the only Jewish congregation here in the city of Harlingen, and they were celebrating 75 years strong here in the city. And Rabbi Frank Joseph joined us and just, is very eloquent in his words and just talking about how Harlingen is an inclusive community. And it is just a great opportunity to be able to highlight everything that is happening in our community through all faiths. And so that was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And that really wrapped up all of our proclamations for this week. All right, now let's head on over to consent agenda. Consent agenda, as you learned in a previous episode, that these are items that are generally on the consent agenda because it's routine business. We expect unanimous support. There's really no need to go line by line because this is something that is expected or a directive from the commission. And so it is routine business. But it's always good to look through the consent agenda and see what's going on because there's a lot of good nuggets of information. And so I'm just going to highlight a few for you. Um, if you look on your agenda, we had consent agenda item number 7G. And this says, of course, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the RGV MPO under the fiscal year 2026 category 7 and fiscal year 2028 category 10 call for projects. And so you might ask yourself, what does all of this mean? Is this important? Well, yes, it's important. The city commission is laser focused on applying for grants so that we lessen the burden on those of you, our property taxpayers. And so this is actually a grant that we are applying for through the RGV MPO. It's a $160,000 grant for a mobility master plan. So this is going to help us address the needs of pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, everyone that's out on the road. And so we're doing this through grant funding. We move on down to item H, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution authoring the city manager to submit a grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, better known as the COPS grant. This is for a $293,000 grant, and this is specifically for safer outcomes. We want to train all of our police officers with additional training to enhance their de-escalation and crisis response in incidents throughout the community. And this is something that it is a grant to be able to pay for this additional training and also to pay for that overtime. So that way it's not at taxpayer expense. And this is roughly about 293,000. Moving on down to 7I. This is a really cool one. Consideration and possible action to approve a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit an application to the RGV MPO again. And this here is for 446,000. And so by reading it, you don't know exactly, but you can go through on the City of Harlingen website. You can get the entire packet that goes with the agenda, and you'll see that this one is really interesting because it is for 16 traffic signals to be replaced throughout the city. And many of you have been asking for us to do this. So we are so excited to be able to apply for this funding to be able to do that. And these traffic signals are going to be equipped with some AI technologies. It's going to be really, modernizing our community and taking care of the streets that you are constantly letting us know on where we need to make those replacements. So we're excited about that. And really, those are the highlights for the consent agenda. All right, now we're going to move on down to staff reports and other items. And this is going to be item 8 on your agenda. And so we have a city manager's report and we have a staff report. Every commission meeting, we generally have a department that gives a report on what's going on. This time, I encourage you, we don't have enough time here on the podcast to go through all of it, but you really want to go check out this report. This was by Sergio Mujica, who is our MIS director, and he gave us a breakdown of our new city app. And so if you go onto the Apple Store, the Android Store, you can get the app. It's downloaded under Harlingen, Texas, and this is an upgraded app. So we had one back in 2018, 2019 that we launched, but this is a brand new one, upgraded, and it really is a phenomenal tool. You can make reports regarding potholes or street lights out, and you can follow your request to see when it's been resolved. So it's really, really important for everyone in the community to utilize this tool. If you go on to YouTube, catch the commission meeting, and fast forward to this report, you'll get to see a video also that our media department put out that just goes through it all in detail too. Real, real user friendly. So I encourage everybody to take a look at that. And really, that's all we had there in that category for staff reports. All right, moving right along, we've got public hearings, item 9. So we had one, two, three, four public hearings. Public hearings are for the community to sign up to talk about an item that we're going to take action on that requires a public hearing. So this is going to be any significant change to maybe a rezoning, maybe a special use permit, anything that requires public notice. You have an opportunity to speak. So we had these four public hearings, but no one came to speak. So we just opened up those public hearings, announced them, and closed them, and then moved on to the action items, which you'll see on your agenda. That is item 10. And so first off, 10A, that is a ordinance that we passed. It had the companion public hearing. No one came out to speak for or against it, but we went ahead and passed the ordinance, which allowed for a business to open on F Street. It is a tattoo studio. It requires a special use permit because of the type of business. So tattoo studios are classified as adult businesses, so they have certain requirements that they have to meet in order to operate. And that special use permit first, that application, they get over at the Planning and Zoning Department, and then it goes to the P&Z, which is the Planning and Zoning Board. Then they review it. It goes through so many checks before it comes to the commission, and then ultimately we look at all of the notes, their recommendations, and move forward with it. And so thankfully, everything went smoothly, and now this individual will be able to move forward with opening his business on F Street. Another important item was 10B, and this one was consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading for the voluntary annexation of 10 acres of land over off of Paloma Lane, and this is going to be in District 5. This is really important because over the last few years since I've been in office, I know that we've had a ton of people wanting to come into the city of Harlingen and doing voluntary annexations. Cities no longer can do involuntary annexation, so they have to come from the community saying, we want to be part of Harlingen. And that's what happened here. We have so far, over the last 3 years, we've had 570 acres of land annexed into the city of Harlingen that are now part of the city. And those are subdivisions that are coming into our community and people moving into Harlingen and really raising that population. So it's a great thing. So this was on first reading. So we've got 10 acres, and that passed unanimously through the commission. Everybody wants, more people to come and enjoy all the great things that we have in our community. As it says on first reading, so when we talked about consent agenda just a bit ago, that is also going to be filled with items that have already had their first reading. So since we passed this on this week's commission meeting and it was unanimous, now we know that it has unanimous approval from the commission. It'll appear on next week's consent agenda because it'll be for the second and final reading, and then it'll be moved through, and then the developers, right, can move forward with the construction or the subdivision in that community. So next we had item 10C, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on the first reading providing for a historic preservation um, commission here in the city of Harlingen. And so this one was tabled. This item was tabled, and we'll talk more about it on the next city commission recap that we have this month. But this was tabled because the commission just needed more information regarding this. Also, the next item, item D, was also tabled because we needed some more information, and that was the second. Item D was going to make an amendment to one of our ordinances to really focus and tackle an issue on a street here in our community that is dealing with some parking issues. And so the commission just felt that we needed a little bit more information to be able to move forward responsibly. And we also had another one that I wanted was, hoping to be able to talk to you about, but of course this one got tabled as well, and that was item F, and this was consideration and possible action to approve the action plan for the CDBG program. And this is a great program, but unfortunately that was tabled, not because we needed any more information or anything, but we had some really significant rain earlier in the week, and they weren't able to conduct their public hearing. And so, as a result of not having that public hearing, it's not ripe for the city commission. So, that will be, you can expect to see this at the next city commission. And really, y'all, that is the commission. I hope that this is an easier way for you to get all the information that you need, and you don't need to kind of go through all those hours of city commission or sit at the city commission meetings. You can know that we will be tackling that and highlighting that every Friday after our city commission meetings. And so that's it for the city commission meeting. And now we're going to move on over just briefly and talk a little bit about the budget workshop because budget season is underway. And on Monday, we had our first budget workshop. All right, let's dive into the budget. It's hard to really put into words so much work that goes into the budget, and budget season, as I mentioned, just kicked off on Monday. We had our workshop, and everybody had their homework to study and get ready. It's hard to really just, explain that. So I wanted to show you. So I know a lot of you follow us and watch us on YouTube, and some of you are just listening in. But for those that are watching, I just want to show you this here is our budget. So, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. Each department, city manager has to go through and sit with every single department, talk to them about their needs, and then look at the budget. Look at the revenues that we have coming in, look at our fixed expenses, and then see what are those needs in the budget for every department. And then once it's kind of like, I'd like to say for those of us, right, that have kids and, your kids when they are asking Santa Claus for all the things that they want and they've got this all of these things, there's needs and then there's wants. Well, this is something similar to that, but a lot of times our departments are asking for things that are essential that they need in order to really be more efficient. And so that's why it's important for us to identify the things that are necessary and the things that could potentially, sometimes we have to be responsible adults, right? Just like we tell our kids, we can't have all the things that we want. Same thing with the budget, at just a bigger scale. And so we have to be really good stewards of taxpayer money. And so this is why we do this every year. And so this is our budget workbook, and we go through it, and the city manager presents us his final findings. And then, of course, the commission may look through that and have different things that they want to see get funded. Because, as you can imagine, not everything that is asked for is received. And so I wanted you to kind of look at that. And so those of you that are listening and can't see this ginormous binder, hundreds and hundreds of pages, just think of the biggest binder that you can find at HEB to fill with papers, and that is what we've got here. So I'm going to give you the condensed version, and I just highlighted a few things that I wanted you to know about. All right, we're going to kind of just give you the highlights. We're going to have another budget workshop on this coming Monday. So if you want to tune in, I encourage you to do so. Just so you know, we have a budget currently with proposed revenues of 66,933,236 over proposed expenditures of 63,622,363. So that leaves us with revenues over expenditures of roughly 3.3 million. The reason that we have this larger amount than we did on the previous year is because we have a credit this year of some additional savings with our health insurance. So, city employees, of course, a big chunk of our budget goes to personnel, whether it be fire, police, and everyone that works in all the different departments. And so this year, our health insurance that we adopted, we went from one provider to another, and we were able to get a credit, a one-time credit for enrolling for about 300,000. And then we also saved an additional 600, almost 650,000. So it's about $1 million of savings that we had this year on the health insurance, which is a fixed expense. So that's why you see those numbers a little different than last year. And just to give you an idea, some non-funded requests, right? Because there's the binder with all of the asks and everything that goes into the work of the budget. But when it all came down and we looked to see how much money the city has in order to fund these requests, there were $9,402,000 of proposed non-funded requests from every single department. That's risk management, police, fire, you know, really every department, parks, every department had some requests that were not funded, and we are going through these line by line. And my goal, and I believe the commission's goal, is we want to make sure that our departments have what they need, especially police and fire, to be safe. And so that was a big focus on this budget workshop, is asking them, what are the items that you need to ensure that you can conduct your jobs in a safe manner, because we want to protect our employees. And so that's something that we're going through, and we're making some changes to fund some of those. Another thing that's important, non-funded positions. We had 45 non-funded positions. These are requests across all departments. Just think, everybody, it's hard sometimes to get the work done if you don't have all hands on deck, right? Maybe you have all hands on deck, but you don't have enough hands, right? This is what this is. You need additional employees in different areas of the city. And so this represents nearly $2.6 million of non funded positions. One of the priorities, I think, for me, and I believe I speak for the commission as a whole, is drainage. And so one of the tasks that we had for city staff and city management is that we want to create a second drainage crew. As you know, the city commission has already created one drainage crew, and they're doing a phenomenal job. We've got a lot of work to do. We're not where we're at, we're not where we want to be, but that doesn't mean that we don't work every single day to make the improvements that we need. And we are playing catch up for years and years and years in the past that, it just wasn't the main focus. And so now we're focused on that. And in order to do that, we need more help. So we really want to fund a second drainage crew. But we're going to have to be very, very creative in how we're able to do this and see how we're able to fund it, because we definitely need it. This second drainage crew comes with a price tag. It's about $1.8 million in equipment. We're talking about loaders, backhoes, excavators, boom mowers, and just things that are essential in this type of work. And then, of course, the individuals, right, that we need: employees, equipment operators, and a drainage superintendent. It's a crew of 5. We already have one that's doing work, but they are working nonstop. These are the people that you see throughout the community, just working day in and day out. And, we need to be able to support them with a second crew. So, looking at this, we have $1.8 million of equipment, another $300,000 in employees that we need. And so I know this is important to me, and I'm going to find a way so that way we can make sure that we fund this. So that's just kind of just a highlight of what's going on in the budget. We just started the budget season with this workshop on Monday. We're going to have several workshops before we adopt a budget, but I'm going to, make sure that I keep you updated when I'm doing these commission recaps on what's going on. And you can always find all of the entire budget workshop online on YouTube. You can attend in person, or you can, watch it live also on YouTube. And so that is just a short recap of our budget. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you for joining in on this episode with important information. This has been your City Commission recap with a little sprinkle of the budget that we are going through in the budget season. I will be back next week, and my sidekick, Cassandra, will be here with me. We are going to be taking a deep dive into a different department. Remember, that is the series going on right now. Please tune in. We would love for your feedback. Another, just a little bit of a reminder, is that we have the Ask Harlingen segment at the end of all of those episodes. And so we want to hear from you. Make sure that you're emailing us and asking your questions, and we hopefully we can answer them here on our podcast to answer your questions individually. And we'll give you credit for your question. You just need to get those and send them over to Cassandra. So thank you again for joining. We will see you next week.